Welcome to the first ever Shred Till You're Dead podcast. Today's guest is Nick from GemPix. Do you want to tell the audience a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Nick. I'm the owner and creator of GemPix. And I guess it's best to work chronologically. I began playing music when I was about 12. To be honest, kind of like a big little reveal, I started out as a bass player. Yeah, and bass was bass was my primary instrument for quite a while. I kind of always feel like maybe guitar should have been, because ever since I first started playing bass and all throughout my bass playing career, I kind of had a little reputation for, I guess, overplaying. People would say, well, you kind of play it like a guitar. So anyway, I played all throughout high school and college. And during my college career, I joined a band called Fairhaven, which I'm from Providence, Rhode Island. And, for about 5 or 6 years, we really went for it. We were an alternative rock band, all originals, wrote our own music. We actually got on the radio and, really gave it like a 100% effort. But just where the music industry was at the time, and, certain things that we thought we were doing right, but in retrospect, we could have probably done differently. It just didn't pan out. So, that was like my first dream. And, shortly after that, I transitioned into the world of GB music. So I was in an events band and played a ton of weddings over the course of about 5 or 6 years. And the cool thing about playing in a gig like that is, you play a ton of gigs in a pretty concentrated amount of time. So basically from April to about September, we would crank out on any given year, 40 to 60 gigs.
That's pretty solid. That's a lot of gigs to be playing.
Yeah, it was awesome. And it was kind of the opposite. It was the opposite world that I had been in, which was, from college to shortly after, I was basically trying to, be a little rock star with an original rock band, writing all originals and doing that whole thing and getting some acclaim for that. But, after that, I wanted to see what the other side of it was, which was just being in a work and bands. And it was cool. It's a different kind of thing. I went from playing all originals to playing all covers. And basically, having a built-in crowd, because that's kind of the nature of that beast. So where I'm going with this, how this leads to GemPix is, we were playing a ton of gigs in a concentrated amount of time, which is really cool. But because I wasn't writing music, and because I wasn't really hustling for gigs, because I wasn't actually the guy booking anything, I kind of had this creative / entrepreneurial void. Yeah.
You gotta fill that. Creatives just go fill that void of missing out on the creativity aspect of music.
Yeah, exactly. Because basically, going even further back, as long as I can remember, I always had a strong, artistic and musical inclinations. But at the same time, kind of like, I don't know if this is rare, but I also had and have always had a strong inclination to the business world and selling and marketing, branding, and being my own boss. Ultimately, that's the goal, is to beat the system and really start something or create something that allows me to be my own boss. And so far so good in a lot of areas. But anyway, getting back to GemPix and how going from an original hard rock original band to a GB band led to a guitar pick. Basically, going back in the summer of 2015, by that time I had been out of my original band for about Um, boy, it's just about 3 or 4 years. So I hadn't been writing or recording. Um, and other than performing, I was just basically, looking for something to create. And I didn't really have much time on my hands to get into any other artistic pursuit outside of that. So other than performing, I had this big creative void, and also just a hunger at that point in my life to really, grow up and start something that would be financially successful and my own. So going back, it was the summer of 2015. In the summer of 2015, that wedding season, we played close. It was upwards to 60. I don't think we quite hit 60, but we were in the 50s somewhere. And that basically consists of the nature of that beast. It's basically, you're playing, sometimes Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or at least for long stretches, Friday and Saturday. And where I'm going with all this is basically, I was getting bored. I had that big creative void. I had this yearning to start something business related, and I was just getting bored with the music equipment that I was using. So that year I bought some different guitars. Had been trying out some different amps. Um, Moving down, or I shouldn't say down, but in the other direction of accessories, cords, headphones, all kinds of stuff, in ears. And at that point, I was playing guitar a lot. I was really starting to get into guitar, and so obviously guitar picks had become a thing that I had to start getting. And I'm the kind of person where it's like when I get into something, I get absolutely obsessed with it.
Oh,
So
okay, yeah.
I wasn't just gonna settle on like whatever anybody told me was the best guitar picks. I literally went out and got as many guitar picks as possible. Some would say every guitar pick that one could buy, within the confines of sanity. But anyway, so anyway, I remember the gig very, very vividly. Me and my bandmates were hanging around, and I had just bought this wooden guitar pick by Timbertones. A shout out to Timbertones, um, and and I was just getting into wacky kind of guitar picks, really thick ones, stuff made from different materials. I remember looking at this wooden guitar pick and saying, "Wow, that's freaking awesome!" Like someone thought a little bit outside the box and straight from plastic. And hey, maybe wood isn't the best material for a guitar pick, but at least it's something different. At least it's something fresh. And I just randomly had this thought. I said, when I get home tonight from the gig, I'm gonna go online and I'm gonna get me some of those diamond shaped guitar picks. And totally just thought they had to exist. It was just something that just hit me because I went from the typical stuff from Dunlop, all the Tortex stuff,
Yeah.
nylons, like all the typical stuff that you get at like Guitar Center, like the best sell.
The stuff that every guitar player has tried out.
Exactly. And I was just getting sick of like the same old. And that's when I kind of was like, oh, cool, wooden guitar pick, which led my brain to somehow think like, hey, wood wasn't really what I enjoyed playing with. I still liked the plastic, some form of a plastic pick just seemed right. Um, so I was like, what, when I get home, I'm just gonna get that diamond guitar pick that I have in my mind and try those at the next gig. So I got home wicked late, and I was searching online, couldn't find anything. Went out into the stores in my area, couldn't find anything. Nothing from Guitar Center. Asked everybody, asked friends, nothing. It just wasn't there. And I kind of just absentmindedly at one point was just like, "Whoa, that's crazy. That doesn't exist." I mean, whoever does that's gonna be really be onto something, big, and make $1 million or something. And then like I just had a light bulb moment, and I was like, you know what? Here you go. Just go for it, man. And I did, and really broke it down and did it the right way, and started talking to real business professionals who have invented things, who have a lot of experience, just from a product idea to product to business standpoint, and did all my due diligence, got the intellectual property rights, so that nobody could rip it off. Because my first fear was like, if I really really feel like this exists, it may exist, and I'm not searching hard enough,
Right. Yeah.
or it has existed and someone has dibs on it. So basically, my idea was, or my super fast gut reaction was, you got to get this thing protected, and I
Yeah.
did, and just connected the rest of the dots and spent about basically spent the week after that gig up until so the rest of 2015, all of 2016, designing, developing, get myself set up business wise, getting the intellectual property rights secured, which I did. And as soon as I got that piece of paper saying that I owned it, um, I launched January 1st, 2017. So it's been basically going on 2 years of being officially launched and selling Gempix.
That's awesome. It sounds like you're doing it pretty right. You mentioned that you got bored with your instruments and stuff, and you really have created a very unique product that I haven't seen anything like it. Thankfully, like as you mentioned, you thought it would be a thing. I haven't seen anything similar to it, which is hard to come across these days.
No, thank you.
What is your favorite gem pick to use? And because you offer several different sizes from like jazz picks, heavier picks, do you switch between them? What's your go-to?
Yeah, well, you know, back when I first came up with the idea, I really only had um, an intention to create that the diamond one, basically the typical standard diamond one that you pretty much saw only being sold in 2017. Um,
Okay.
and then I designed and created uh, the jazz pick, well, our version of the jazz pick, the teardrop, and the triangle pick this year. So to answer your question, I really do have like a special soft place in my heart for the standard diamond shaped one. That's the one that basically measures out um, shape wise to be like your typical guitar pick. Your classic guitar pick. Gauge wise, when I'm playing guitar, I really do believe that 0.73 millimeters is where it's at for both strumming and lead. That's just my personal preference.
Yeah.
There's
Okay.
something kind of intuitively right about that gauge to me. So my personal favorite is the standard original diamond one that we first launched. Color wise, there's something about the red that just kills me. I just think it's
Oh yeah, the red's awesome. It's
yeah,
definitely a good color to go with.
yeah. The way the light hits it, the way the light hits the cuts versus the red vinyl. It just is my personal favorite, and I do like it in .73. Having bass player roots, the heavier gauges also appeal to me. Kind of conversely, I'm all for like boutique brands and other kinds of pick gauges that surpass the 1 millimeter mark. Things that get into like 1.15, 1.5 millimeters. But for me personally, I kind of feel like there's something just intuitively right about 1 millimeter. So I love our Black Diamond one um, for bass playing, and really anything where you want a little bit more in your hand. I think the heavy gauge Black Triangles are good. Um, and the one curveball I thought I would when I came out with our jazz pick this year and our triangle and teardrop, I thought the jazz pick was going to be the one that would really take off and be my new personal favorite. And not that there's anything wrong with that one, but the real curveball, the wild card, was the teardrop. I probably clocked more hours with the teardrop, specifically the blue teardrop, 0.73 millimeters, than any other guitar pick that we have this year. Um, it kind of has, I think, the perks that people like about a jazz pick, and that it's a little bit smaller, a little bit pointier. However, the roundness around the top just is super ergonomic in your fingers, and I don't know. There's just something about it that I've personally really enjoyed from like just a feel standpoint. My fingers, it just does it. And upstroking and downstroking for lead playing just seems to be seamless with the teardrop.
Nice, nice. I gotta ask, what type of strings do you use? Do you think that makes a difference for what types of picks you're using? Like, is there any influence that the strings make on the pick?
I mean, absolutely. That's kind of like one of those questions where I think just about if you really get here splitting about it, everything has has an influence on your playing and your sound and technique and all that. Um, Strings, I'm pretty standard. I love, in terms of something that's off the mainstream radar. I think Stringjoy is awesome. I really do. I think the way they run their business. I think that the way they coat their strings specifically. There's a certain kind of like zinginess to them that I like. So that's basically the non guitar centery kind of string that I like. I like Stringjoy a lot.
Yeah.
And like I said, I really like supporting the hustle of people who are not doing that. But to stick with the mainstream brands, Diodario, I think they're awesome. I think my personal go-to quick fix for guitar strings is the Power Slinkies from Ernie Ball.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, kind of having bass roots. Um, I like a little bit of a heavier string. So for me, 11s just seem to do it. I'm all for 10s. No, that seems to be, a good standard for everybody, kind of like the Dunlop Tortexes are, but for guitar picks. But to me, there's something about the tension of 10s, especially on like a Gibson, you know, um, kind of scale length that just kicks ass. And for me personally, I just like it. In terms of strings that interact well with gem picks, I haven't really, I haven't really encountered a guitar or a set of strings that um, works better or worse. I think, basically those brands right there and the way they coat their stuff seem to just work the best. I wouldn't say there's a best. I mean, the Power Slinkies from Ernie Ball and really anything that Stringjoy put out. Anything nickel plated just seemed to really be a sweet spot. In terms of acoustic, I think Elixir's stuff is awesome. The nano wires, anything bronze plated really is pretty good. I'm not too funky with my strings, so I mean, I think the basically anything out there is a good match for our picks.
All right, yeah. I use 12s, so like that's pretty thick. Probably the thick black picks for that I think would probably be the best way to go because I use thick picks as well.
So I'm gonna ask them. You must be metal with that gauge.
Oh yeah, yeah. I play a lot of metal. Some bluesy stuff. What do you play? Usually, like obviously you've been in a rock band, but what are like some of your favorite artists?
I kind of when I was younger, I was really into specific artists, and now I'm kind of pulling it back and just getting a little bit more general in terms of genre and just honestly just kind of whatever does it for me. But my roots have always been in blues based rock with a lot of funky elements to it. Really got into psychedelic stuff and experimental music um, as I was coming up. Um, if I was to, really boil it down, basically like funky, bluesy, jazzy rock. If you were to mix jazz, funk, blues, and rock together, that's where it's
Yeah.
at.
Okay. Yeah.
My playing inclination, my listening inclinations, especially recently. Um, well, always and recently I've been, in alternative rock. I'm kind of revisiting a lot of the '90s stuff, to be honest with you. This year and last year, I just seemed to be on a wicked Nirvana kick and appreciating it more from a songwriting standpoint. There's definitely certainly an essence and an attitude and a tonal quality to Nirvana being grungy and everything and alternative, but really starting to dissect the songwriting and realizing that they were just really good. Kurt Cobain was just a really great pop songwriter. Whether people like to call it rock or grunge or alternative, those are just really good pop songs.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
you know, um, I've been listening to a lot of Rolling Stones in the last couple of years. Um, although not necessarily my favorite, I think the unanimous uh, best is the Beatles. I just can't. I can't shake that. Just about everything the Beatles have put out is not overrated. I think it's just magic,
Yeah.
and so I'm a huge Beatles fan. When I was a kid, when I was like in high school, I was all about Red Hot Chili Peppers, Pink Floyd, the Mars Volta, rest in peace. Um, those are like the three bands that were on repeat constantly, just burning through those CDs and learning everything that they had to do.
Yeah.
Mainly the Chili Peppers. That was probably like the most played and learned. I learned all their stuff um, like crazy when I was younger. So yeah, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Pink Floyd, Mars Volta. Those are like the top three. And in the last year or so, between the movie coming out and what I was coming up on, been listening to a ton of Queen lately, which again, a band that's not overrated or anything, just brilliant. The mix of just all the mix of influences, the variety is so rich, and all members contributed so much, kind of like the Beatles in different ways. So those are basically like the bands that like come to the surface.
That's a good list of bands. The Beatles and like Queen. You mentioned that they are like some of the best songwriters. You have a fantastic point about that. The Beatles released like 250 songs in like 8 years of being
Yeah,
together, and very few of them people would argue are bad. Uh,
yeah.
you mentioned that you did a little bit of songwriting in your rock band. Is there anywhere we can listen to that? Do you want us to listen to that?
Yeah.
Uh, do you still write? What's the deal with your writing now?
Yeah, we were really playing heavy from about 2008 to 2012, 2013. It was about a 5 or 6 year span. And like I said, we were really really going for it big time. And I have fond memories of that band, and I still love all the guys and everything. But having to leave that band and kind of leave that dream was almost like the hardest breakup I've ever had to go through. And that said, I totally listen to it. If you search Fairhaven on YouTube, there should be the kind of like various artists songs there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
I want to search songs. The three songs that we had on the radio, we had a song called Singularity. We had a song called Worth It All. So if on a chase, if you search any of those titles with Fairhaven and YouTube, you'll hear our stuff. And like I said, all originals. And I had a heavy hand in writing all that stuff. And I'm the kind of person like I said, when I get into something, I get absolutely obsessed with it from head to toe. And I love writing. In terms of writing right now, because I'm so focused on gem picks, um, that's honestly like my main creative outlet and where I spend an enormous amount of my time. So I'm not really writing or recording anything structured right now, but literally almost every time I pick up a guitar, something comes out, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not necessarily someone else's song, to put it that way. I'm always kind of shaking something out of my hands, you know?
Yeah, so are you still like I would assume you're still learning songs from other artists, and that's generally what you are playing now. So do you just like improvise, like, or do you play along the songs? What do you do while you're playing guitar?
When I'm playing guitar, every day I pick up the guitar. To be quite honest, I'm improvising a lot. I'm just kind of letting my fingers do the thinking and seeing what comes out. So when I'm just kind of like messing around at home, it's pretty much nothing but originals. Whatever's coming out of my mind and my hands is really what's going on there. Um, but I do learn stuff. One thing that I like to do a lot isn't so much like learn covers and then play covers, or learn parts and then play parts raw. Um, I Ever since I was a little kid, I've always liked to play to music. So like I'll open my laptop and I'll learn a Queen song, or I'll learn a Beatles song, or Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I like to play to it, so that what can eventually happen is if I'm playing or jamming with friends or a group of people or whatever, um, we can basically play those songs together.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really not the kind of person that likes to learn a song and play it by myself. You know, and learn the part and play it to myself, or learn a song and record it, put it on YouTube. I mean,
Yeah.
record it, put it on Instagram or anything like that. You know? I really like to play when I'm playing other people's music. I like to literally play to it. Um,
Yeah, I'm the same way. I enjoy keeping in time with them.
with others.
Do you have any tips for people who are playing guitar right now and what they should be doing, focusing on?
Yeah, well, I think first and foremost, you gotta you gotta learn rhythm, and when I mean rhythm, I mean specifically you gotta be good. You gotta get yourself a metronome, and you gotta make sure that you're playing in time. Um, what's happened too much and too often in the last 5 or 6 years since Instagram's really become huge, and especially since Instagram allowed people to put videos up, is it's all good and great. People are shredding and making videos of themselves in the attempts to, either go viral or just share their music. Less vain than that. Just get a video and have, an account like your account or any of the other big influencer guitar accounts to share their stuff and do it that way. But what I'm hearing too much is um, a lot of really good technical ability that's unfortunately falling off meter.
Yeah.
And really, the whole goal, in my opinion, is to get people to be playing together, and then not only playing together, but then sharing it with a lot of people. Like it's all good and great to be playing in your bedroom alone and record a video, have your account share it, and then get all the likes and attention and activity flowing your way. But if you're not playing with other people and you're not playing in front of people, um, to me, there seems to be something missing. So my first uh, bit of advice is, learn how to play to a metronome and to a beat, so that when you do play with a drummer, you know how to do it. And when you're all playing together, you're all basically unified by rhythm. Whatever gets people moving, that's rhythm. So I'd really focus on playing in time, and just making sure you learn your scales, learn your chords, do a ton of boring, painful practicing. I'm talking just running up and down the neck, 1,000 times while you're watching TV, so that you don't have to think so much. You don't want to have to be looking at your fingers when you're starting out and trying to figure all of that out. You have to do that, but your goal is basically to get your hand to have a mind of its own, to build muscle memory, so that the creativity flows through you, and you don't have to do too much unnecessary thinking. You want that creativity and that emotion to just come from your mind, go through your heart, through your arm, through the hand, and right into the guitar without a freaking millisecond wasted.
Yeah, it takes a while to get there though.
It does.
It really doesn't. I think that's what discourages so many people from learning the instrument is that they don't want to sit down and play scales for hours when they're watching television, even though that's a great way of doing it. Here also mentioned that metronome thing and the Instagram, and I thought that was a great
Oh,
point. Being on
and-
time is super important these days.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, right on, John Mayer. Like I agree, and going back to your point about people just don't want to put the time. Hey, you know what? So be it. If people don't want to put in the time, less competition for yourself. But that is the key, and I'm learning that as I get older and as I play more and create this business, is that it's tough and it's supposed to be tough and it's supposed to take a lot of work and it's supposed to suck and it's just supposed to be very long, hard, little tiny increments at a time. But over, days, weeks, months, years, it all add up. And if you stick with it or anything, um, you're gonna beat out all those people that quit and gave up, and you'll be left, and you'll be amongst the best. And then it's kind of like, all right, here's the group of who's left, who can be the best of the best, you know. Um,
Yeah.
Perseverance, and everything, and relentless drive. It is truly the key to success, and it's supposed to be tough.
Yeah, I think it being tough makes it more fun actually. That can obviously be argued, but there's so much more reward at the end after persisting through those long hours of what many people consider boring practice.
Absolutely.
And
Like,
I bet that's the same way you feel with like gem picks. Like after all that work that you did to create the first gem picks, you probably felt incredible. Like it was the reward was definitely worth it, I'm sure.
yeah, absolutely. I think the starting point for anybody who wants to either start a business or really anything worthwhile is you gotta, it's very helpful, and in my case, it was essential to have a very clear vision of where you want to end up before you even make a first step. And if you can really envision it, it sounds like all cliches, but like it is true. Like if you can like envision it or dream it, and you have the guts and the smarts and more than anything, the relentless drive to do it despite anything, you can do it. You have to just know it's going to be very difficult and yeah, no, it was amazing when I had my first pick manufactured and I actually held that tangible piece of my dream in my hands. It's amazing. It was overwhelming. It's like watching your baby get born. It's just so overwhelming, and you see it, and then and if you can really channel something in you to take it from that thing in your hand to that thing in the hands of people all over the world, then you got to do it, and you got to focus and make it happen if that's what you want, you know.
Yeah. And I can tell you're focused. I mean, you're posting every day on your Instagram page, and that's a major component into growing any account is the daily content and all that. Uh, do you do any like specific social media marketing? You mentioned early on that you were interested in all that.
Yeah. When I was uh, when I was gigging a lot before Gem Picks, um, I thought Instagram was cool because it was just like a good way to share what you saw. If I was at a venue that was breathtaking, um, that just hit me a certain way, you take a quick picture, you throw it out there, and you share it with people. It's as simple as that. And if you're not vain about it, like it's a great way for people to experience like what they're not experiencing, so that maybe they can do that.
Yeah.
But so I mean, I had experience just like posting shit like that to kind of just show people what I had going on. Like anybody, I'm not saying anything new with that. So when it was time to do gem picks, I kind of like hit the ground running, And I try not to be too specific. I try not to be too scheduled. And I try not to be too redundant. A thing that I run the risk of is because it's a freaking essentially a diamond shaped piece of plastic. Um, I have to be careful to mix it up. So if there's any kind of premeditation or any like strategic thought, it's just me being conscious to like not overwhelm people with the same old, same old, same old, same old. You can only see the same picture of a guitar pick on a neck or whatever so many times. So I think my only plan is for it to be organic, and honestly to see what I want to see. Sometimes I'll look at my own stuff and say, okay, I'm sick of posting a picture of a pick on a neck. I want to do a video, so I'll do a video, and whether that does good or not, I kind of base it off that, and I say, okay, next I want to do it that way or do it this way or do a little whatever. Try not to be too salesy about it, but hey, I mean that's the name of the game. Um, but also it's having pride in the product. I really do like these things, and I want other people to experience them if it's something that resonates with them. So, a couple times a week, yeah, I have to have a call to action to check out my website and to potentially see if it's something you'd like to invest in. And so far so good in that aspect. Um, yeah, with the Instagram stuff, that just seems to be the right platform for this kind of product. So it's
Yeah,
even
absolutely.
it's it there you have it. That's where it seems to want to belong. And I think first and foremost, when you have stuff going on, that's when you have to post. Um, that the whole point of social media really is to document and to share. Document what you have going on. Just yesterday I had a photo shoot at a place called Level Exchange, which is right here in Rhode Island, and it's basically an artist community. Where creative people can rent out space and network and all that stuff. So I was there yesterday, had a great time. Enjoyed the results of the photo shoot. So, why not post about it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I saw your post on that. It looks pretty sweet.
Thank
Looking
you.
forward to seeing everything that comes out of it.
Yeah, yeah. We got a couple gems, pun intended. From shoot. So yeah, yeah. It's sorry with guitar pick. Sorry,
Yeah,
not
it was there.
funny
It's
too
there.
much. Yeah, I know. Yeah, but that's it. With the Instagram stuff, I just try to make it be organic, and I try not to saturate people with too much of the same thing. People want variety, and I think that's what I'm kind of shooting for. And hopefully, not hopefully, but with new products coming, there'll be more stuff to see. And I'm more comfortable playing in front of the camera, so I might post some more. No one's told me I completely suck, so stop.
That's an important one. If nobody tells you that you suck, then you can keep going.
Yeah, exactly. And I bet I'd still post even if they did. I'm joking. I'm joking. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of like the Instagram thing. I'm straying away from Facebook a lot. It just doesn't seem to really be there. And other platforms don't really seem to lend itself as well as Instagram. So
Yeah.
the time, I'm gonna be posting and hustling as much as people will allow me to.
I like it. Facebook's organic growth is zero right now. You can't post something and have it go viral organically very easily. You're gonna need another page to repost it in order for it to get shares and stuff. So
Oh yeah,
Instagram really is probably the best platform for what you're doing.
yeah, no, I agree. And sometimes people who I know personally like will make fun of me for like hashtagging too much and all that stuff. But, hey, thousands and thousands of people later, that's now I have people who discovered something new that they enjoy. Um, why not? That's what they're designed for.
Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
I shamelessly hashtag and I shamelessly, tag up everything I can so I can reach enough people, I'm not doing it for vanity. I'm really not. I'm doing it to share something that I myself enjoy, you
Yeah.
know. Uh, and that's kind of the name of the game for that.
Yeah, I think we touched on just about every topic that discussed that we would. Is there anything else that you want to add?
Man, I just want to say that I'm extremely proud of what you've done in the last year or two.
Wow, thank you. I appreciate it.
Man, when I think we started our pages somewhere around the same time.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think we did. I think I started mine 2015 October.
yeah, but you really started to seem to hustle it hard. Yes, last year.
Yeah.
Um, and man, you were the first contest that I ever ran. I never you
Yeah.
were the collaboration for a contest that I ever had. And I remember like we were kind of like at the same thing. Maybe we had like 2,000 followers at that point. And to go from that at the beginning of 2017 to where you are at like what is it, 30 something thousand now?
Yeah, I think it's 38. I honestly don't pay attention to my follower count that
Yeah,
much, but
and nor should you. I don't think that's what it's all about.
yeah.
But the fact is that that is still a number that exists, and you've reached that many people around the world. So props to you for getting there by
Thank you.
just what you love and just um, sharing what people want to see. So I just want to add that I'm just a biggest fan. I'm just as big of a fan of yours. You know, and really, yeah. I mean, the only thing I'd like to add is just yeah, without being too salesy about it or plugging myself,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
you know, if you like what you see, you know,
Yeah.
www.gem-picks.com. That's where we're at. Instagram and if you like it, follow. If you don't, then whatever. But but yeah, no, I'm just extremely happy to be doing what I'm doing. Very thankful for everybody who I've worked with, um, who's who's tried out our stuff, who's interested on any level. Just extremely thankful, So I guess that's what I'd like to say.
Yeah. Thank you for being on here, and for all the listeners, definitely check out Jump Picks. They're awesome. I know that he said if you didn't like them, don't follow. Follow anyways. You'll eventually start liking them, I'm sure. Uh,